Hello everyone, George here, Catholic Positive Energy. Nice to see everyone today, and I mean day as in during the day. I tried very hard to do my broadcast during the day today. Now, I want to talk about something I know a lot about because I've been on both sides of this fence before. The name of this broadcast is How to Successfully Talk Someone Out of Suicide. Now, I know I talked about some of these things in a previous video long ago. I can't remember which one. Like I say, if any of you go back and look, let me know which one that was, which number, which video. And I'd like to know so I can track it down myself so I know which one to reference back to. So, how to successfully talk someone out of suicide. Let me start from the beginning, but like I say, this is a positive community, so I'm going to try not to talk too much about the negative things. About 19 years ago, when I was 16, I was talking to a girl who I thought was very pretty. I was hoping that, that would turn into something very wonderful, but it didn't. When I was younger, I was very unhappy. I didn't know anything about positive energy. I mean, there were times I was happy, but for the most part I was unhappy because, I had never dated before and I wanted to. And so I talked about my problems a lot when I was younger because when I was, around my family all the time, that's all we ever talked about. I see I have a visitor here on the Facebook page, Guy Joseph Raby. Good afternoon from East Tawas. I believe that's Michigan you're referencing. Well, thank you, Guy. Nice to see you here. Stay for the whole broadcast. And by the way, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. It's linked to the page. Anyways, see, when I was 16 and I was talking to this girl, I talked to her about some problems I was having, and let's just say I gave her too much information. I mean, I thought she would, be my friend or at least a close friend and continue to talk to me on a deep level. But that's not what happened. She stopped talking to me after that. And I was very mad at myself. I was very upset with myself. I didn't have anyone else to blame but me. It was my fault and I knew it. And I hated it. I obviously didn't want her to feel that way. I wanted her to keep talking to me. So I tried to apologize, I tried to fix it, but she still refused to speak to me. So I got so angry with myself one night, I felt like committing suicide. I remember I was in my room, I was crying, I was very, very sad, and my mom eventually heard me. She came to my room and I told her how upset I was. And I told her I felt like stabbing myself in the head. So she could see how sad I was, and she told me, I don't want you to leave this room at all tonight. If you set foot in the kitchen or anywhere else in the house, then I'm going to call the police because you're a danger to yourself. So I stayed in my room. I didn't get any sleep that night. I was very, very upset about the situation. I really wanted to fix it. I didn't want that pretty girl to not speak to me anymore, but it was my fault and I was very, very mad and upset with myself. I felt at the time that, am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? No matter what I do or how hard I try, females don't seem to want to talk to me. Now this was 19 years ago. And I remember my mom, other members of my family, people I was very close to at the time, close friends, and even some new friends that I just made at that time. They all spoke to me and talked to me. Basically, I mean, they were not really religious people, but they talked to me like this. They said, well, if you kill yourself, then when you're face to face with God, He'll show you what your life could have been. And trust me, your life will be so much better than what you're thinking now and what you're feeling now. So eventually, to make a long story short, I had a lot of people talk to me in that kind of a way. Well, you've got a lot to live for, George, so what? You had one problem here with one girl who wouldn't talk to you. Just move on. Now, obviously, that was easier said than done, but eventually I had some very good friends and some very good people in my life who helped me move on, and I did. And I got to tell you, I'm very happy, I'm very glad that I didn't take my own life. I'm very happy because I definitely would have regretted it, and life, trust me, having said this now that you know this about me, having said this now, trust me, I know that life has its ups and downs. I know that better than anybody. Trust me. But just remember this. When you're going through a down, okay, like a teeter-totter. The teeter-totter goes up and down, okay? When you're feeling down, there's only one place you can go, and that's up. Terrible tragedies, traumas, downtimes, problems, or negative energy, those things are temporary, okay? They're temporary. When you go through something that really upsets you and brings you down, those things are temporary. They don't last forever. They don't. Let me even make a biblical reference. In the book of Job, hopefully many of you know that story. Job, he lost his wife and I think like all of his children in some tragic accident, and eventually he remarried and started a whole new family. So you see, bad things are temporary. Now, I remember I was speaking also a lot with my mom at that time, and she thought I was basically crazy, and she obviously did not want me to end my life because I'm her only child, and she definitely would have been devastated, and obviously I didn't want to devastate her or other members of my family who care about me, and I didn't. Now, obviously, a lot of times, like let's say you meet somebody who might have suicidal thoughts or who might be thinking about it, it's natural that some of you might think, oh, this person's crazy, because it's not normal and it's not sane for someone to think about taking their own life or just ending their life in some way. It's not normal. Now, since I've been there, and I have successfully talked a few people out of suicide, because I've been there myself and I understand, I wouldn't really say that the person is crazy, but the person is definitely lonely. They're definitely devastated. They're devastated and they're lonely. And you know why another reason they're lonely? Because they feel like they're all alone. They feel like they don't have a whole lot of friends. Okay? Have you ever noticed something? Now, I'm speaking from the heart. I'm not going to make any references to any psychology books or studies here. This is George speaking from the heart. Excuse me. Now, here's another example. I know I referenced this in a previous video. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that movie, What About Bob? Okay? Can be very funny. Now, Bill Murray was having some problems, and he was obsessed with wanting to talk to his therapist. He made friends with his therapist's family, and he felt so much better. So basically, Bob was lonely, and he just needed friends. And when he got friends, he felt so much better. So, have you ever noticed that, like, let's say you've met people who might have had suicidal thoughts or thought about it. Have you ever noticed that the people who do not have suicidal thoughts, those are the people who have lots of friends, lots of family, lots of loved ones, lots of wonderful people in their lives. And the people normally who do have suicidal thoughts are the people who feel like they're all alone and that nobody cares about them. Have you noticed that? Oh yeah. Now, when I had my suicidal thoughts, I didn't feel like nobody cared about me. I knew that I had friends, but that wasn't the issue. The issue was I didn't want to blow it with that pretty girl, but I blew it, and I was very, very upset because I was young and I wanted to start dating, and I knew nothing about women, and I definitely did not know how to talk to women. I can say now I know a lot better. I really do. And I learned from my mistakes. Here's another thing I want to point out to you. When something terrible happens to you and you're going through some kind of terrible devastation, okay, it's not fun to be going through that, but this is also a learning experience. you can use this as a learning experience. Okay? Like I say, this devastated me 19 years ago. I was very devastated. I cried for a long time. I don't even think I got a whole lot of sleep during that time. I didn't feel peaceful at all. So, I learned from it. We always, for those of us who are positive thinkers, we learn from our mistakes. We learn from all of our terrible tragedies. We do. These are learning experiences to be able to grow in knowledge and wisdom and being able to teach it to others who may not have a helping hand. Amen? So you see, these terrible things that happen to us are learning experiences. Now, that was the introduction. Are you ready for the talk now? I've been talking for over 10 minutes. Pardon me for a second. All this talking makes me thirsty. Anyways, so how to talk someone out of suicide. Now, I can tell you this. I have talked several people out of suicide, well, mostly virtually, people I've met in this community or in the other group that I manage called Your Joyful Place for my very dear friend Holly. I have had people who I've met talk about having suicidal thoughts. Now, here's one thing you need to understand. Now, I'm going to be talking for a while, so I hope you won't get bored. When someone talks about, and they reach out to somebody, let's say it's a stranger, or let's say somebody watching me right now. If you were watching me on the Facebook page and you made a comment telling me you had suicidal thoughts, that's a cry for help. Now, if somebody reaches out to somebody, whether they know them or not, that's a cry for help. That's them basically saying, help, help. It's a cry for help. They're asking for help. They need help. Okay? And this is like your last chance to help them, or their last chance to be helped. Okay? You help them. Now, whenever, this is the method I use. And like I say, my friend Holly, I have talked maybe so far in my life since I've been chosen to be a positive thinker, and I've been one for like a little over 2 years now. I've talked maybe 4 or 5 people out of suicide, but it was mostly like through Facebook. I never met the people face to face. I never talked to them over the phone, but we just had back and forth communication through instant messaging, and I made them feel a whole lot better, and they're still alive. Praise God. Now, this is what I do. This is the method that I use. Okay? When I am talking to somebody who is thinking about ending their life, this is what I do. It's like, for me, it's like a hostage negotiation. Only the person who is suicidal, they are the hostage taker and the hostage rolled into one. They're both. So this is what I do. I talk to the person and I say, okay, wait, listen. Okay? Please, you don't want to do that. You really don't want to end your life. Please, don't think about suicide, okay? Listen, I'm your friend. I care. Please, tell me what your problems are. I care. I want to hear it. Tell me what's going on, please. Okay? Now, so far, every single time I've done that, they'll tell me their problems. Okay? Now, you guys know we don't have enough people in this world who care about other people's problems, especially people they don't know. I feel that if we cared more about people around us, I mean, it doesn't have to be strangers, but the people we normally see, co-workers, casual acquaintances, the mailman, the clerk at the grocery store, the person who works at the gas station, some people we normally see regularly who are in our lives, if we cared about them, and hopefully they care about us, this world would be a much better place. But the reason why this world is not the best it can be is because we've got lots of people who don't care about each other. That's the problem. Now, when I tell the suicidal person that I care about them and I want to hear their problems and I really want them to tell me their story, they're blown away. Usually, and I'll say 99.5% of the time, they will tell you their problems. They tell me what their problems are. And it's always something devastating. They feel like they're all alone. They don't have enough friends. Their family won't talk to them. I had one person tell me that All their family members cut them out. It was awful. But now that person I just referenced, I let them know that I care, and I will be their family. I will take the place of those family members. I'm your family. I want to be here for you. I care about your problems. Please tell me what's going on. You have so much to live for. Now, here's another method I use. Okay? Method number 2. I try to get to know the person. I try to find out a little bit more about them. Are you married? Do you have kids? Now, so far, usually the person is not married, but they tell me they do have kids, or they have a mother or a father or siblings or grandparents who are still around. And I usually try to do this. I'll listen to them for however long I need to, listen to them tell me their problems. I wait until they're done, and then I start talking. Okay? Like I say, here's another thing. If you want to successfully talk someone out of suicide, you need to shut up and listen to them. They have problems. They need to be the one talking to you first, not the other way around. You have to listen to them talk to you, tell you their problems. And as soon as they're done, however long it takes, and it might take a while, as soon as they're done telling you their problems of why they want to kill themselves, now, then you can talk. But let them go first. Every single time. Let them go first. Once they're done, try to find out more about them. And if they tell me that they have kids or loved ones, whoever, somebody in their lives who cares about them, I try to say this. Okay, listen, and whatever their name is, I'll tell them, okay, you have children. Okay, how old are they? Usually they'll be under 18. I always try to say this. Okay, listen, you have children who love you, and I'm sure that you love them, right? Well, yes, I do. Okay. Do you want them to grow up without a mother or without a father? Do you want to hurt your children? Do you want them to be so devastated because their mom or their dad, you ended your life, and now your children are without a parent? Do you want them to be as devastated as you are now? And so far, every time I've ever asked somebody that, the answer has always been no. See, even somebody who is suicidal, who may have children, they don't want to hurt their children. They don't want their children to be devastated like they are at that moment in time, at that point in time. They don't want their children to be devastated. Nobody wants to hurt their children. See? Nobody wants to hurt their children. So, I try to get an established line of communication, conversation going. Okay, good. We're on the same page now. You don't want to hurt your children. You don't want them to be sad or devastated. Good. I certainly don't want that either. Now we want the same thing. Now we're friends at that moment. Okay. The negotiation is going successfully now. All right. And then I try to keep going. Okay, good. So you don't want to hurt your children. You don't want them to be devastated. All right? And then I try to say, now look, you have children. You have some good things in your life to live for. You really do. Because look, you have loved ones. You have to raise these kids. And don't you want to watch them grow up? Don't you want to watch your children enjoy having you in their lives for however long you have? And so far the person has always said yes. Okay, good. You don't want to hurt your children. You want to see your children grow up. Good. We're doing great now. And then I try to also say things like this. And so far this has worked very effectively. I try to tell them, now look, I know exactly how you feel. I know how you feel because I've been there myself. I wanted to kill myself at one point, yes. I was totally devastated and I was crying and I was falling apart. I know how you feel. Trust me, I know how you feel. You're not crazy. Make sure you say that, please. They're not crazy. Now, I'm sure a lot of you watching will think, well, somebody who wants to kill themselves or is even thinking about it is totally crazy. Now, I don't mind if we disagree on that thought. You can disagree with me if you like. I don't think they're crazy. I just think they're lonely. They're devastated. They're having just a terrible cry for help. They need friends. They need someone to talk to, because so far the people in their lives are not the most effective talkers. I'm very good at this because I've been there myself. I'm very sympathetic, consoling, loving, and caring, and kind. A lot of people tell me I'm kind, so I hope it's true. And because I've been there myself, I want to be there for others. I want to be there for all of you. For any of you who may be watching this who might have suicidal thoughts or know someone who does, I really hope that you utilize these things I'm telling you to the best of your abilities, please. Anyways, I try to tell them, okay, I've been there myself. I wanted to kill myself at one point. And then they listen, and then they start going, oh. See, the wheels are turning. The light bulb went off in their head. Now they realize that they've got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. Anyways, so it's going great. It's working very effectively at that point. They're talking to someone who cares. They're talking to someone who understands. They're talking to someone who's been there. I try to say this too. I try to get like a friendly conversation. Like I try to ask them, what do you do for a living? Or, do you have any hobbies? What do you like to do in your spare time? Is there anything that you and your children like to do together? Is there anybody, okay, if you had like your whole family cut you out, I try to ask them, is there anybody else in your life who still talks to you? A friend, a neighbor, somebody? And I try to talk to them about that person. Okay, if you're someone who's had your whole family cut you out for whatever reason, well, listen, here's one thing I know for sure. You've got me. You've got me as your friend. I'll talk to you. I'll be here for you. I'll be your family. Well, I am your family in the Lord. So yes, I am your family, even though I'm meeting you for the first time under negative circumstances. It's okay. I'm your family. I'll be here for you, and you can talk to me anytime. Now, I'll tell you this because I've been there myself, and I know this, and I have been on both sides of the fence having successfully talked to people out of suicide. If you're talking to a suicidal person, and they're listening to you, if you tell them, I'll be here for you, I'll be your friend, I'll be your family, you can talk to me whenever you need to talk, they will be so much more happier. The devastation will go away, and now the happiness, the positive energy, the positive thoughts, the happy thoughts, the smile, now that's settling in. You see, now the devastation is going away. And that's how you successfully talk someone out of suicide, doing all these things I said. Let them go first. Let them talk. Wait until they're all done, no matter how long it takes to wait until they're done. Let them finish telling you their problems, however long it takes. Then, get to know them a little bit, talk to them, find out who are the loved ones in their lives, and just ask them, do you want to hurt these loved ones in your lives? Do you want to hurt your family members? I mean, if you end your life, you know you're going to devastate them to death. You will devastate them, absolutely devastate them. Do you want to do that? No, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's continue on that train of thought. And also, eventually, finally, let them know. Now, maybe you've been there yourself like me, or maybe you've never been there. Let them know that you love them, that you care about them, that you want to be here for them, and that anytime that they need to talk to someone, they can talk to you. That's how you successfully talk someone out of suicide. Amen? Amen. Now, let me talk about the things that you don't do, the things that you never do. Marianne Frechette is watching. Welcome, Marianne. I hope I pronounced your last name correctly. Please forgive me if I did not. Please share the broadcast, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Anyways, now, things you should never do when you're talking somebody out of suicide. Okay? Never do these things. Okay? Now, normally, this is something that a lot of people's family members will do to them. Okay, now let's say you talk to a family member in your life, someone you regularly have communication with. All right? Let's say you do that. well, you know what, I'm thinking of ending my life. I have suicidal thoughts. Now, you probably have family members who would do this to you. They'll probably do this. Oh my gosh, you're crazy. Why would you want to do something so stupid and kill yourself? Are you stupid? Are you crazy? Don't do that. Okay. Please, for the love of God, don't ever say that. Never do that. Okay? Don't ever do that. Never talk to someone like that. If somebody is in crisis, if someone is devastated, if someone is thinking of ending their lives, do not talk like that. Do not do that, okay? Never, ever, ever. That is a no, no. You will make it worse. Now, I don't think anyone here likes to pour gasoline on fire, right? You don't like to make things worse than they are. Don't do that. Don't talk to them like that. Never in a million years. If someone is considering suicide, and let's say it is a family member of yours, do what I told you to do. Oh my gosh, what happened? Tell me what's wrong. I don't want you to do that. Please tell me your problems. I want to be here for you. I care about you. Please tell me what's going on. I'll listen to you for however long it takes, even if we have to talk for hours. Please tell me what's going on. Put your hand on their shoulder. Let them know they're loved. Okay? That's how you do it. That's how you start the conversation. Okay? Oh, I'm thinking of ending my life. Well, please, I want to be here for you. Try to give them a hug. Okay? Give them a hug. They'll probably be crying, but give them a hug and listen to their problems. Don't ever snap at them. Don't ever yell at them. Don't ever tell them that they're crazy or stupid or what they're thinking is stupid. Stay away from words like crazy or stupid. And here's something that a lot of people like to do. I don't think this is a good thing, okay? Let's say someone's thinking of ending their life and you recommend that they see a counselor or a therapist or somebody. Don't do that. Just not yet. I mean, there's an appropriate time for bringing those things up, but don't do it at the beginning. Stay away from name calling. Stay away from using words like counselor or therapist or mental institution. Stay away from that, okay? Try to handle it yourself. Don't call the police. I mean, they're just upset. They're just sad. Just talk to them. Just listen to them, okay? Stay away from all those other terms, all right? Now, let's say you've been talking to them for a little while and maybe it's been more than a day and they're still alive. Once it's been a day or two and you see that they haven't taken their life yet, then it might be appropriate for you to mention that they see a counselor or a therapist, okay? But don't do that at the very beginning. Never do that, because you can make things worse, okay? You can make things a lot worse. Even if you're just trying to help and you recommend that they see a counselor or a therapist for having suicidal thoughts, that can do just as much damage as, snapping at them, yelling at them, and name calling. It can do just as much damage. So stay away from mentioning those things. Another thing. Okay, let's say somebody comes to you and they're having suicidal thoughts, and you, let's say, I don't know, you're talking to them, and let's say maybe you tell them a story about another person you knew who had a suicidal thought. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I mean, if you talk about other people, I don't think that's effective, because this person in crisis who you're listening to, who you're talking to, they don't know this person who you're bringing up. So I don't think it would have a whole lot of effect. Just talk about you and them. Somebody who's in crisis, a suicidal conversation, it needs to be you and me. They're talking to you, you're talking to them, it needs to be you and me. Don't bring up other people. Don't talk about other people who are not there, present. Talk about just the two of you. It needs to be you and me. It needs to be personalized. You and me. Okay? That's how it needs to be. Now, like I say, if I'm talking to someone who's having suicidal thoughts, I've been there myself. I know exactly how they feel. I totally understand how they feel. I let them know, and I talk about me. You know, I've been in your shoes once, and I know how you feel. I really do. I totally understand how you feel. Let me tell you a story of when I was once in your shoes. That's better. If you talk about you and them. Now, let's say you know somebody who had suicidal thoughts, but this person is not present and they didn't do it, but you're talking to someone who is currently having suicidal thoughts at the moment. Don't talk about people who are not there, because that person in crisis may not care and may not want to hear it. Okay? Talk about you and them. You and them. All right? So, I think that's all I can think of at this moment. Those are the things that I've noticed that works. You have to listen to them. You have to assure them and make them feel loved, make them feel cared for, and let them know you're their friend and that you will be here for them whenever they need you. You will listen to them and talk to them as long as it takes. Okay? You're not going to snap at them. You're not going to yell at them. You're not going to recommend they see a counselor or therapist, at least not, definitely not in the first conversation. Do not bring up those things at all. Okay? And don't recommend that they see a priest. Okay? If they're having suicidal thoughts, stay away from words like counselor, therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, priest. Don't use those words. Or mental institution or police. Don't mention those things. Not during the first conversation, at least. When you've talked to them several times, maybe by like the third or the fourth conversation, you can start bringing up things like that. You know, I think you should get some help. You should see somebody for help. And then you bring those things up. So like I say, a lot of people who normally have suicidal thoughts, usually they'll tell a family member, and the family member will yell at them and say, why would you want to do something so stupid? Don't ever say that. Never say that. That is the worst possible thing you could ever say to somebody in crisis. Don't do that. It never works. Okay? If you want to successfully help someone, you have to make them feel loved and cared for. And I know this because I've been there myself. I've been on both sides of the fence. I've been devastated, and I've also talked to people and listened to people who were devastated, and I successfully helped them out. And I'm glad that I did. So, I hope you will remember these things and utilize them to the best of your abilities. The do's and the don'ts. Okay? And like I say, if you ever meet someone who is thinking of ending their life, please refer back to this video, to this broadcast, and use the methods that I've told you about, and make sure that you do not do the things that I told you not to do. Don't do those things, okay? The things that I told you to do those things, please, okay? Listening can be a very effective tool, because that's also something that priests, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, therapists, that is a method they use. They listen to you. You have problems, you tell them, they listen. And you don't have to be working in one of those fields to be a good listener. You could be a good listener regardless of what your occupation may be, and you can be successful in helping someone who's in crisis be in a really good place and a really healthy place. Amen? Amen. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast, and I would like to thank those of you who joined me here. Feel free to ask me any questions you like, and like I say, I'm here for all of you because I care about each and every one of you. So, thank you, and be a good listener, because listening is an effective tool. And also remember, dignification is better than criticism. God bless.